To the cloud. Okay, admit all.
Hi, everybody. We're going to have a large group today. It's great to see all of you. I'm going to give, we're going to wait a couple of minutes, but while we're waiting, type in the chat and let me know where you're zooming in from. And also, you know, this is the season of light. As the days grow darker, we experience light in different ways. So let me know if you have a favorite type of light or a memory of light. You could type that in the chat. Denver, Kentucky, Texas, Pittsburgh, Oakland, Massachusetts, San Francisco, Amsterdam. Welcome from far away. Going too fast. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Pennsylvania, New Mexico. If you're just hopping on, type into the chat where you're zooming in from. And if you have any special memories or something about light that you'd like to share. Hi, Jennifer. She just took a class with me. I'm trying to read fast as everybody hops on. Happy solstice. This is the holiday I celebrate this time of year. Wonderful, Joe.
Melbourne, Australia.
Wow.
I think I saw India.
New Zealand, India.
Yeah.
I've got Lori here with me. She's chiming in. Lori is my technical assistant. She'll be monitoring the chat when I'm presenting. It's great to see everybody. We're going to just wait a couple more minutes. If you're just hopping on, type into the chat where you're zooming in from. And if you have a special thought about light as we approach the solstice. Ellen says she's lighting Hanukkah candles or lighting Hanukkah candles as a child and with her children, and now just she and her husband. Hi, Evie from Germany. Woo! Ohio, California.
Spain.
Welcome. Spain. Cool. Favorite memory of lights on Diwali. Wonderful. So I'm going to wait one more minute. People are still popping on. Welcome, welcome. I'm in Colorado. It was snowing earlier, but it's kind of just chilly out now. And feel free to type a sentiment about light into the chat, as well as where you're chiming in from. Candles in the window on St. Lucia Day, last Tuesday. Sharon says, yay. Christmas Eve Mass in Stuttgart, Germany. Making beeswax candles over bonfire coals and using them after. Wonderful. Love all these thoughts about light. Southern California, Patty. I remember the importance of holiday lights shining through windows as a child in South Dakota on the longest night of the year. So cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you all taking the time out today to do this. This will be an hour. And as I said before, Lori is here as my technical assistant. She'll be monitoring the chat. So if you have anything at all, you can type it into the chat. Questions, she'll be monitoring that. I am going to briefly tell you about a little bit about me and my pay-per-year membership program. And then I'll answer any questions, and then we'll make this cube light. And at the end, we will all, hopefully you're willing to share your cube light, hold it up, and we can have a beautiful screen filled with light. So again, anytime you have a question, type it in the chat. We are recording this. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. So if you want to refer back to it, you will get the recording since you signed up for this. You'll get that by tomorrow. And yeah, let me share my screen. I've got a little short PowerPoint presentation I'm going to show you.
And we're going to keep everybody muted.
Yeah, stay muted. We have too many people on here to talk. So you'll just put any questions in the chat.
And one last caution, with a group this size, if you're having connectivity issues, the more people that have their video off, the better your stream will probably be. So turning off your own video will help your viewing.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, here we go. So for those of you who don't know me, I run a papermaking studio high up in Colorado's Rocky Mountains. Here you can see the dramatic seasonal change, and as well as our famous green bridge that goes between over this valley right near Red Cliff. As an artist, I create installations and artist books, often dealing with light. This giant lantern you see on the left was installed at Anythink Wright Farms, a library in Denver, this past summer. And the quote you see on the lantern says, "You may think your light is small, but it can make a huge difference in other people's lives." So today we're making small little lanterns. This was a big one, but my hope is that little lantern can represent that same thing. And for this installation, viewers were invited to step into or under the light and ponder how they could be the light, and then to step out of the light and think about how they can share their light in their communities. And there was a book there that they could write in. In addition to making art, I have always been fascinated with paper as a material and all the ways that it can be transformed. So I spend a good deal of my time designing unique projects, and I feature these in my how-to books. The Art of Papercraft just came out last February, and it features 40 projects you can make with a single sheet of paper. And the Paper Year, my membership program, I started that in January of 2021 to inspire members with a technique and project every month. In addition to gaining skills for working with paper, members become part of our paper-loving community. And I'm going to share some highlights from 2022. And please note, if you join the Paper Year, it's open for registration now. You will gain access to the growing library of past projects, and there are 24 projects in the library today. I'm going to zip through the months. In January of 2022, we created these star boxes. I invite guest artists once every quarter, and this project was designed by paper engineer Isabel Uria. The projects are delivered online as pre-recorded videos that you can watch at any time and work on the project in your own space, at your own pace. And you also receive PDF instructions. And all in-plan members meet twice a month on Zoom, and our guest artists come to those meetings, so we get to know a little bit about them. In February, we explored the slice form. On the left, you see the actual project, a heart, but I always encourage members to think outside of the box, and you see how Terry and Liz took the structure to the next level. In March, we explored paper and stitch. I love stitching on paper, and I do it a lot in my own work. And here you see two different approaches from members, from lanterns to cards. Every quarter, we also have a surface design workshop, and this is a live online workshop, so we actually learn from an artist and make together. And our first one last year was with Susan Joy Scher. We explored rubbings, and you can see how Jerry in the middle and combined his rubbing with stitching, and Sarah combined rubbing, paper weaving, and stitching. So these things that I introduce hopefully translate and are taken into artwork that members are already making. So these are great examples of that. In April, we had another guest artist, Lisa Merkin. She designed this clever fluted paper vessel. You see her version or a variation on the left and her initial design on the right, which was created by Susanna. She incorporated some of the rubbings we had just done into her project. And we have members from around the world. Susanna is in Switzerland. I'm a hand paper maker, and many years ago, for many years, I've been making lights with embedded wire between sheets of paper. And a few years ago, I decided to try the technique with ready-made papers so that it would be more accessible. So these lanterns, I call this bendable paper, are made with commercial papers. We're always talking about paper in the paper year and sharing where we find papers. And on the left, you can see Claudia's gorgeous eco prints. And then on the right, Beth went above and beyond to create these scrolls about her grandmother to tuck inside of the tiny houses we were making that month. We had another surface design workshop in the summer with jelly printing with Allie Manning. And then Beatrice Caron, many of you know her paper cutting. She was our guest artist in July, and she treated us to this fun project and also gave a wonderful presentation on Zoom. I designed this book pendant almost 25 years ago after learning a similar structure, and it was fun to see what members did with this in August. We did more stitching in September, but this time it was structural, allowing us to create soft sculptural forms. And I really, I try to address all levels. Like I show how to use a sewing machine for this project, but I know everyone doesn't have a sewing machine. So I also show how to stitch by hand. Radha Pandey zoomed in from Norway for a natural dyeing workshop. She's just written a wonderful book called Paper and Color, published by the Legacy Press. And she told us everything we needed to know about dyeing with plant materials. I do like to challenge members occasionally, and tessellations are challenging even for me. So I was excited to see what people came up with in October. November, we explored one-sheet books. Many of you have probably made one-sheet books, and there are so many variations. And this month, Matthew Reinhardt, a well-known paper engineer, is our guest artist, and he designed a pop-up that has a rubber band inside. These little creatures fold down flat, like you see. The bottom right image of that turtle is squashed, and then with the help of a rubber band, it springs open. This is a really clever rendition with the marbled papers combined with the turtle. So there are two ways to join the paper year. All of this is outlined on the registration page along with a video. But in brief, you can subscribe as a PDF subscriber, and that's what you'll receive, just a PDF with instructions for the monthly project. Or you can sign up as an all-in subscriber. You'll receive that same PDF plus video instructions and a couple of monthly Zoom meetings online. And as you can see here, you can pay by the month for either plan, or if you sign up by January 15th, you can pay for the entire year and you'll get 2 months free. And that's only available at this time of year. And this is a subscription program, so you will be automatically billed monthly or annually, depending on how you sign up, but you can cancel at any time. Here's an example of the first few pages of one of the monthly project PDFs. That's what they look like. And this is part of a video. The videos are 20 to 30 minutes in length. They show you how to make the whole project. And in addition, you also have access, if you're a member of the All-In Plan, to a wonderful online community where we share our work. You can ask questions. We provide supportive feedback and share tips and tricks. We also meet on Zoom twice a month, as I mentioned. We have a special guest at most monthly Zoom meetings, either the guest artist or a paper supplier. Our next paper supplier will be Lauren Perlman from Paper Connection, and a surface design instructor. We also have a 2-hour open studio Zoom session where you can carve out time to complete the monthly project, and we spend time getting to know each other and share what we know about paper. Here's a sneak peek at what we'll be doing during the first quarter of 2023. In January, we'll create this envelope folding screen. Actually have it here to show you in just a moment. And in February, we'll explore building simple natural armatures and applying paper to those. And then Gina Pisello will be our guest artist in March. She'll share how she alters books using spiral pleating. And our surface design workshop will be creating momogami, which is a crumpled paper that you treat with something called konyaku. It's a starch and can create beautiful things. And this will be with Linda Marshall from Washi Arts. So that's the paper year in a nutshell. Please visit the link in the chat. So there's several links in the chat for things that I'm talking about today. And watch the video trailer, read more, send me any questions you have, and I hope you'll register and join us as we continue to explore this versatile medium. All right, and I had shared part of this Rumi poem, and I just picked out the parts that I really like. The poem ended up, when I read it, it's a lovely poem about death, but I didn't want to read the whole thing here. So you can look it up. This is the title. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. I love this idea. In all of my work, I'm always thinking about universal themes. And I have a couple more lines from the poem I'm just going to share with you before we get started. One matter, one energy, one light mind, endlessly emanating all things. One turning and burning diamond, one. So the lanterns we are creating today will all look different, right? We're different people making them, and we're using different papers, but we are all immersed in the same light, however you choose to think about that. All right, so now we're going to switch over and get to making. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the paper year, just before I switch over? Okay. Jennifer says, does the paper year have a paper kit for each month to go along with the projects? And if so, is that included or extra? No, it does not. So I always send 2 weeks ahead of time a list of what the materials will be. And I try to use common items as much as possible. Like we're going to use envelopes next month. You might want to buy new envelopes, or you could reuse envelopes that you have. And most people have some envelopes on hand. So yeah, I don't send out kits every month. That's not something I do. Any other questions? You can type any questions in the chat as we move along. Yeah, Evie's asking, can I just register for the Momogami class? No, this is a subscription program, so it's not set up that way. Please confirm, if I register now, will I get all of the projects for 2022? Yes, you'll get 21 and 22, all the projects. It's one ongoing continuous program. Lana is asking if I'm going to talk a little bit about my paper weaving class. That's another class. You can ask me again at the end. And what time are the live Zooms? Great question, Helen. They're usually at noon. So this time, the 1 hour Zoom is at this time. And then we also have open studios, and they're from 10 a.m. to noon, my time, Colorado. And everything's recorded and posted in the classroom if you can't make it. And we maybe 30% attend online live. So it's very normal not to attend those. But it's great if you can. Okay, so we're doing great on time. One more question and then I'll move on. And then Lori, you can just pop questions to me as I'm demoing.
Yeah, and I just want to make one point. If you message Helen privately, I won't see it, and your question might be missed. So you can either message me directly or just do everyone, and I'll see that. So Andrea is asking, if you register today, do you have access to the archives from all the years?
Yes, you do. You'll have access to 24 projects that are already in the classroom, and then every month a new project is added. Okay, so let's switch to my hands. And again, you can keep typing questions into the chat and Lori will ask me. So hopefully you got the template. There is the link in the chat if you didn't. And I'll be sending that with the recording as well. So these are just a bunch of these different cube lights that I've made. And we're going to get to making them. And I'm going to talk about them a little more after we're done. I wanted to show you the two projects that we're making in January and February in the paper year, just before we get started. So this is the envelope folding screen. And so we're going to be doing paper cutting. I love to have people have open-ended projects. So you could cut your own design. You don't have to use leaves, but I will supply you with templates for leaves. And these are standard A7 envelopes in the US, but I address, different sizes and how to deal with that if you don't have access to this size envelope. We're going to do this cool hinge. It's a variation on the piano hinge with bamboo skewers, just barbecue skewers, so simple to find. And then in February, this is a little bigger. You can't see the whole thing, but I showed a picture of this. We're going to work with natural armatures. So this is a found piece of wood, and this is basket making reed, but I'll talk about other things to find around the house. And this reed you can actually buy by the foot or by the pound. So I talk about all those things, and then I'm going to show you how to apply paper to the panels. And then in March, I have a guest artist, so I don't have the actual sample yet.
Helen?
Yeah.
Helen, we have two questions about the subscription
Yep.
point. The first one is, how long is the access to the subscription, and is there a deadline? And I'm just going to give you the two together because they're combined. Do you only open the program once a year?
Okay, those are great questions. I open the program quarterly. So, but the only time you can sign up and save 2 months is now. So January through January 15th. So you can subscribe annually once a year, but then I'll open registration again in April and July and October. And what was the other question? I already forgot. You shouldn't have asked two.
I think you hit it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the deadline for the annual is January 15.
Right.
And the program will reopen again in April, and then
every quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, every quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I do think there was a hidden message in that other question, which is if you quit the program, you lose access. So you can download the PDFs. I recommend that as you go. So every month, just download the PDF so you have those instructions. The videos you cannot take with you. But if you decide to leave, you do lose access. That's pretty much how it is with any kind of subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I printed the template onto one of my jelly prints from the workshop in the summer with Allie Manning. And I happen to have jelly printing on both sides. I thought I wanted this on the outside. Now that I printed it on this side, I'm like, oh, I like that side. So we'll see what happens. But so you can use a template and put it on top and cut through it if you have a paper that you can't run through your printer. But I just wanted to mention that I often run things through the printer and I design them 8.5 by 11. I know some people don't have printers. That's an issue that has come up. But this is just a simple box, and it's actually based on a box that I received. I got something in it. And so I liked the design where it has these tabs on the bottom. And I love things that are collapsible. So you can add glue anywhere, but you could also store this box and use it again or send it to somebody. So that's really what I liked about this design. There are so many different ways to design a cube box though. So I'm just going to go through and make this. It's very straightforward. Some of you probably have already done it.
Sorry, Helen, we have
Yeah.
2 questions.
Okay.
Can the boxes, again, they're sort of combined, can the boxes be made with any commercial paper? And will it work to paint or watercolor on the paper?
Yes, so I'm using a lightweight cardstock. So maybe 65 pound in paperweight terminology. But you could use a heavier one. It's just a little harder to cut the thicker it gets. You could do anything on the paper before you cut it. So that's a thing I talk about a lot is, look, we have all these panels, and actually the box, that I received as my model, it was just a solid box. And I thought, oh, what if I just did some paper cuts in the panels, which I obviously have to do before I fold it up. So there's many things you could do. You could collage, you could paint. Obviously the paint has to dry before you cut it. You could rubber stamp. And these are things that that we explore in our surface design workshops in the paper year. Different things you can do to papers that you have on hand. So you could cut these outer parts with scissors. I use a knife. I'm comfortable with a knife, and I like the straight, using a ruler with the knife to get accurate straight lines. Curves are a little trickier. I'll talk about the curves on the inside design when I get there. The cutouts, you could cut any shapes. I'll show you some other examples I made. So you don't have to cut what I've given you. Although if you printed the template, it's on there. I don't know if anybody tried, there are cutting machines like the Cricut or the Silhouette. I don't know if anybody tried cutting this on their machine. So that would save all of this hand cutting time. I find it meditative. I like.
Yogi Grunwald says, yes, they did that.
Okay, awesome. So
they-
that would be really nice to put into production, and you can make many of them quickly.
Yeah.
And with all different papers.
Yeah. They said they removed the dash lines and cut with a Silhouette Cameo electronic cutter. Wow, they're pros.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Right, and the dash lines they're the only thing that remains. If you cut carefully, you cut just inside the lines. I'm not being terribly careful right now myself, but I can get rid of all the printed lines except for those dash lines, but they'll be on the inside. So clever. You can see sometimes little small places I just cut without using my ruler. It's a little tedious. Okay, I think I've got the outlines mostly cut. I have an inkjet printer, so you can feed lots of different papers through most. I mean, don't sue me for telling you that, but I haven't had too many problems. I've put handmade paper in mine. All right. So the dash lines are score lines. And I'm just going to double check here. I still have to cut out this little thumb. This is a thumb hole for helping with opening. I like that design, but you could leave that out. This. Okay, now I've got a bone folder. We talk about tools in the paper year all the time. There are so many cool tools out there. Okay, wait, I forgot to cut my little slots. You want to cut these 4 lines. So all solid lines get cut. Yeah, and I don't know why I'm scoring. I might not cut all of the inners on this Zoom, so I'm going to go ahead and score next, but you could just keep cutting. So I have a very thin bone folder, which I love. You have to move your ruler and take into account how wide your bone folder is to try to hit those lines as accurately as possible. So I'm scoring right on those lines. I move my paper around all the time. I'm right-handed. I just make it as comfortable as I can for my hands and ergonomics. I missed a little cutout here. Okay, so now I don't use a ruler. Obviously, these are curves, but it's pretty, this is a great shape for practicing cutting with a knife and cutting curves because you can just go from top to bottom and do a little curve, not to mention the fact that you're doing it, I don't know how many times this is, 9 times 5, 45 or 50 times. So I'm cutting outside of the lines now so that I don't have the printed lines showing. This will be on the inside regardless, although this could be reversible since it is printed on both sides. Let's see what the other side looks like now. Kind of fun.
Helen,
Uh-huh.
there's a question about, does it matter which side of the paper you score on? If folds go different ways, do you need to score on different sides?
Technically, yes, and technically I scored on the wrong side. But all of the folds for this project are going the same way. They're all going in. These are all valleys from this. And because I printed the lines, it would be really hard. Technically, you're supposed to score on this side and fold. Yeah, here's my score, and you're supposed to fold that way. But it's not practical in this situation. So don't worry about that too much. If you're just watching because you've already done this or you're not making it, or if you are making it and you have time to drop into the chat, what paper are you using, if you know, or what paper are you considering using? I made a bunch of these and you notice different things and I'll show them all to you in a moment. I found if there was white on the inside, like this one, it glows really well. Okay, sometimes when you have a repeat pattern, you don't have to cut all of the pieces in every one. I do like how it looks in this particular piece, but I could just cut like the big elliptical shapes. Maybe I'll do that. On that one, I cut all of them on this one. Maybe I won't cut the little square in the middle on some. So, you know, there's all kinds of variations. On one of mine, I didn't cut on the top. I only cut on the sides. This was my first model, actually. All right, I'm going to cut for 5 more minutes and see where I'm at, and then I'm going to assemble.
So people have been entering what papers that they're using, and I'll
Yeah,
run through. Andrea's using Bristol, and she's going to draw on it before making it. Cheryl is using 90-pound mixed media paper. She says it cuts well. Sue Reynolds says she's using watercolor paper, but some was too heavy to go through her printer.
mm,
Ramsey is using commercial paper from a paper pack from Joann's. It's white on the inside and cardstock weight.
mhm.
Wendy Bale is using 90-pound watercolor with metallic watercolor wash on one side. And she wants to put Kozo on the inside. And I'm just going to say, because Wendy posted on Instagram the other day using metallic watercolor that she got from Jerry's Artorama, I bought some as well and have been having fun with that.
So what is it? Metallic watercolor?
It's watercolor trays, little, right, like you would have,
Oh,
but it's
so
metallic.
you paint
It's,
it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's metallic colors. It's super cool.
Cool.
Anne Ingrid wants to use the Chiogami paper, but thinks that she might need to back it.
Yeah, it might be a little light. I have a lightweight one. I'll show you. Mhm.
Susan is using 110-pound cardstock. It's too heavy to go through her printer.
Mhm.
Robin is also using 110-pound paper and plans to cover it with a delicate textured rice paper. Can one use Locta paper?
Yeah, I think Locta paper would work. It's a little soft, and it varies within the sheet, but there's so many cool prints. So I don't know if you have a plain but it would be nice contrast because the colors are rich. I think it'd be nice with the light. So at this small scale, yeah, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah. And Barbara Helander is using red metallic foil cardstock.
Ooh.
And Suzanne is using printer paper that she painted on. Judy would like to enlarge this to make a lantern lit with a battery operated light for an evening solstice walk in our town next week. Do you think that that would work?
Yeah, I would just use a heavy enough paper so that it's sturdy. And I'd probably tape or glue the bottom. Don't rely on those tabs because your battery operated lantern might fall through the bottom. So I just do some reinforcing, but yes, cool idea.
Florence is asking, do you think vellum would work for this project?
I love translucent papers, but it would be tricky with the folding. Sometimes it cracks along folds. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm going to show you how I lined some of my panels with vellum or another similar paper.
And Jennifer used 65-pound, well, it says yardstick, but I know that that's an obsession with our computers to autocorrect cardstock to yardstick for some reason. And it went through her printer fine. Okay, so Dawn is she says she's using boring copy paper. I do not have a printer, so I wanted my hand-drawn pattern to work before transferring to my washiest paper later, or I might use watercolor with metallics. Sounds like fun. And Barbara Helander is using vellum for the peekaboo portions. And the vellum was printed to look like stained glass. Ooh, cool.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I'd like to know where you got that, Barb.
Was it pre-printed?
Or did you print it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move along so we have time to share at the end. So I've got everything cut, and now I am folding I'm going to fold. So this is the outside because the printing is on the other side, but it's not, this one I folded the other way. I accidentally printed on the outside. So it just, you know, you see the printing. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible with everything else going on in this paper. So I'm just going to pre-fold. Remember, I already scored. So it breaks the paper and makes it fold really simply right where it's supposed to. I really crease those all the way over because I find if you just kind of halfway do it, it doesn't collapse into the right form. So I really fold those over. And then I'm going to use double-sided tape. And there are many kinds of double-sided tape at all kinds of craft supply stores. I happen to get this at Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store. There's some in America, not very many places. And I got to go to Japan a couple years ago. So this is about 1/4 inch. Double-sided tape comes in different widths too. It's even a hair too wide. You could use glue also. So I have a little glue applicator here I like to use. You could use glue stick for this too. I've got a little extra tape hanging off. I like to cut that off because it just is going to end up sticking somewhere I don't want it. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. This connects to this side over here so that I get my box. So I'm just going to, I'm going to trim one more thing. Remove the adhesive backing. And then I like to, this is going to fold in half, and this should line up exactly where it's supposed to go. So I'm kind of paying attention to both because I want this to collapse again. So if I was a little off over here, again, the template's accurate, so that shouldn't happen, but I might trim something. So now I've got a nice cube developing. The bottom, these tabs go on the outside. So make sure you have your slits cut. If you forgot, you're going to run into problems here. I'm going to fold the two rectangular pieces in, and then I'm going to put my fingers inside as a little, so they're in there, peekaboo, to help press against as I fold and tuck these tabs into those slots. Now, if like you're going to be carrying this in a procession and putting something heavy inside, you can reinforce this bottom. You could cut a whole piece and glue it down. You could put a piece on the inside. Just if you needed to make sure the bottom wasn't going to fall out, because this is kind of a loose construction with the tabs, but the tabs do hold everything together, which I love. So there's my box. I forgot to fold these little tabs. And then the top just folds over and tucks in. It's got those little rounded corners, which makes it easy to slide in there. Mine's a little, I just got to shave off a little hair. It's just not wanting to go in. And there's my box. So let me show you the lights that I like, and there are links in the chat. So I like these little twist on battery operated tea lights. I find they're brighter than some. And again, it's an Amazon link and you have to order 12, but it's like $10 for 12 of them. So they're reasonable. So you just twist on, twist off. So those are fun. That glows nicely. So play around with, if you have the holes, if you set this close to a wall, you're going to get shadows. And this is something, I haven't explored this a ton, but small little cuts project nicely as shadows. Big open areas, not so much, because light just diffuses more. So here's another one. This is also a jelly printed paper. And I have a little, these are called fairy lights. So these are light strands. We have something in the chat, a link. And I usually purchase, you can get these in all lengths. These are used in weddings a lot, stuffed into vases. And I think they come at least up to 30 feet in length. I get the shortest, which are 7 feet. And so I just tuck it in there. This particular one has a blinky, a slow blink, and it just stays on. So it's got 3 different settings. The one I gave you the link to, this one I had to buy 100 of those, so I didn't give you that link. I don't know, you might be able to find them in smaller quantities. This one you can buy, I think there was 6 or 4. This is the same length, it's just got a different, it's a bigger battery pack. And this one's not working. Sometimes that happens. See, this one works. So this is a little brighter than the other one. And these also come in different colors. So you can buy a set, I think, of like 8 different colors, strands. And they have the blinking. There's all different kinds of LED lights out there. Let me just show you a couple more things. So here's one where I cut squares in each panel, and then I line those squares with, this is rock paper. And Wendy, I know your name because I know you've done stuff with rock paper. So it's a really cool translucent paper. There's a link in the chat, and it's a small business. And I don't know if you can see this, but it's got interesting patterns on it. And here you can see the stripes. Comes in all different colors. Super fun. By the way, there are different cube constructions where you could have the bottom as part of this, and you could have a design on the bottom, so you would have it on every single surface. So I also put a link in the chat for colored vellum. It's hard to find these days. I actually talked to a supplier, this was several years ago, who told me it wasn't being made anymore. I'm not positive about that. But on Amazon, you can find a 50 sheet set with like 10 different colors, a few sheets of each color. And that's 8.5 by 11.
Helen?
Yeah.
Barb gave us the link for the stained glass paper.
Mhm.
And I added that to the links that I just dropped in. It's
Great.
so cool looking. I just looked it up. It's really cool. I'm going to have to get some.
Okay, me too. Great. So in the paper year, I like to just come up with all different ideas. So here's another idea. This doesn't have to be a lantern. It could be a gift box. So, and I just randomly did not cut the top out. I think I said earlier, this was my first version. So this is just what I did. And then I thought, oh, I could do one on the top. So here you could tuck a little gift inside. These are some holiday cookies. This is the little lantern that was the one in on the page where you signed up. And somebody asked about thin paper. So this is quite thin. I don't know what this is, definitely text weight. And it's holding up okay. You know, as long as it would crumple way easier than the others. And it can't take a lot of abuse, but it's a little too flimsy. Some of you know Madeline Durham, who makes these beautiful paste papers. She's more making art now with her paste paper, so she doesn't sell her paper as much, but I thought that would be a fun one to try. It looks fun. And then, oh, just a couple other ideas using like punches. So I was just playing around. You can see I printed the actual template on this. This is larger, by the way. You can enlarge that template to make it scalable. So you can make large, small. And I only have a certain reach with a punch like this. So I was just playing around with, I had to double over these sides. And obviously here I could reach the edges. So I was just playing around with using a punch instead of having to cut. And with this small, I was talking about the shadows from small designs, but also if you had a really dark paper, the brilliance of the light, because the light is held inside and it's only being let out in small increments, it shows up quite a bit. So there's a lot to play with light.
So
Now,
there's a couple of, sorry, there's a
Yeah.
couple questions. First of all, you've got that triangle one and somebody's asking, Vicky's asking if the template for that is available.
I'm going to show you something, but I don't have a template, but I'm sure you can find it online.
Okay. And before we drop off, and on Ingrid is asking, is there a chance of burning the paper if it's used on a Christmas tree?
Not if you're using these lights. These are safe. They're cool. They're not hot. So I wouldn't use any light that has heat. And I'm pretty sure these days, they're all LED. So no. So different shapes, there's all the platonic solids, the polyhedrons. This is a tetrahedron. I started making an octahedron. I don't have the template just because I do too many things. I don't draw templates well online. But so these are what they look like flat, the octahedron. Oh, icosahedron. That would be ambitious. These are the ones I didn't want to show you. Wait. This is a different cube design with different kind of tabs. So that's what I was saying. There's many ways you could have the tabs in different places. And on this one, you could do cutouts all the way around. Octahedron, tetrahedron. So you can explore different shapes. And here I just cut a little hole in the top so I could thread part of my fairy light into it and illuminate it. And then the rest of the lights are just kind of fun. You could even, because this box opens and closes, you'd have to do some figuring out, but you can put the light strand in there and stretch and connect different. You have to hang it in a certain way so they're not all going to fall and connect or hit each other, or you'd have to figure out a little rubber band or something to hold them in place. If you did these in this fashion, sort of strung, they would just stay, gravity would hold them. So
there's a question, is the bottom stronger if the tabs go in from the outside or out from the inside, or does it matter?
I can't see that there would be any difference, but you're welcome to do a science experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it easier to get the tabs together from the outside because you'd have to be inside there. But certainly you can put them together that way.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
So there was a question about were the chats going to be posted somewhere, and I'm guessing perhaps that they're particularly concerned about the links that we've been dropping in.
Yeah, I will send the replay. I'll usually, unless I forget, I drop the links right into the body of the email that I send you. So you'll get all those links, but I also, the chat. No, I can't. The way I'm going to send this to you, I won't send you the chat. So if you want the chat, right now you should go to the bottom right-hand corner. You need to have the chat window open, and there are 3 little dots, and you can click on Save Chat, and that'll save it to your computer.
it'll create a folder titled Zoom and I'll put it in there.
Yeah, I'll think about that. Maybe I can copy and paste the chat into the replay. So maybe. Small circles, Wen is asking, any way to make them with a craft knife? It's tricky. Circles are tricky. You just gotta practice. There are lots of circle punches. Okay, so I'd love to see, we've got 5 minutes left. If you want to still ask questions in the chat, feel free, but let's switch over. I'm going to look at all of you and I'd love to see what you made. So everybody, let's take a few screenshots where you're just holding them up. We'll go through and then maybe we'll look at a few individuals. I'm not sure we have time for that. Okay, I'm going to grab a shot. Hold them up.
Okay.
I'm going to switch from page to page. So just bear with me. I got page 1, page 2, got 6 pages. Okay, the people without video on are on the further pages. Okay, good. I got what I wanted. Does anyone, if you raise your hand, we can look at yours up close. I'd love to do that. You know how to raise your hand in the reactions? See anybody?
Yes, Beth Stockwell. I'm going to spotlight Beth. Okay.
Hi, Beth.
Hello. So I did a pencil on mine, and then I put your pink glow paper inside. Can you see?
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
it's pink, and then I just did a pencil, and I also doubled the sides of it and laid it out, and I'm gonna do this other one. Let me hang on, I'll show you.
Okay.
So I put it on 2, I doubled it onto 2,
Uh-huh.
and I put it on this paper that has kind of the gold. Can you see? And then I'm gonna put this gold tissue paper on the
Behind
inside.
it. Beautiful.
So I think those two will go together. So it should be bigger like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you're
I'm excited about
saying
that.
you printed the template on 8.5 by 11s. You were just able to put them together after you printed them?
Yeah, I did. I just in InDesign, I just laid them out so they were across 2 pages
Right.
and just printed that way. So
Okay.
and then so then I have them. This is the 2 pages side by side.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm gonna make a little bit different shapes
Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
here in the center, but I just glued it this morning, so I'm just letting it dry right now.
Awesome. Okay. Who else?
Wendy Bale,
Hi, Wendy.
you're muted.
Hang on, am I unmuted yet?
Yeah. Yep. I
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. All right, so I put a little layer, a lining on the top part, but then I decided to leave the outside open because it seemed like more light would get through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
It's a totally different thing, whether you line it or not. Yeah.
this is that metallic. It doesn't look very
Okay.
metallic, actually, to be honest. I didn't put it on very thickly, but in person it looks a little bit more luminescent. I guess.
I can kind of, yeah.
It's kind of, but I kind of like the little watercolory effect, you know.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I did, that's the first time I've ever actually run heavier paper through my printer, and it worked great. So that was
Good.
I usually just put a template on the paper, but this was way easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, nice project. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming. All right.
Marina Eckar. Okay. There you go.
Hi,
Eckler, sorry.
that's okay.
Hi.
Hi.
We're having a little party here.
Yeah, we had a
Oh.
craft party.
Did you all make them?
Yeah, we did.
I haven't glued mine together, but I cut it out.
Hold
made
them all
mine
up.
on a
Hold them all up. I'm going to take a screenshot. Hold
Photograph.
that up. That one that you have part way. Sweet. Thanks.
So I
Yay.
took a photograph here. And then this is a different photograph, but made it on that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you made it out of a photo. Oh, how cool. Where are you guys?
We're in Colorado, in Colorado Springs.
Okay, good. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
hey, we're at the top of the hour. Does anybody else want to share?
Vernil?
Yay, Bernil's my neighbor.
Okay, sorry, it's, okay.
You're
There we go,
muted, Bernil. Oh,
Yeah,
Unmute. There you go.
Okay, so I was so busy cutting that I missed the part with the tape, so I made this one. But then
Uh-huh.
always the Rebel, I made one out of vellum.
Oh, good.
It didn't crack.
Okay.
It's not together yet, But
Yeah.
a star, but it didn't crack, which is great.
Okay, good.
And then this last one is, I'm not going to cut anything out of it because you can see the circles, and I think that'll look really cool with the
Oh,
light.
yeah. Yeah.
So this one's
Right.
just paper that is watermarked.
Yeah. So just a box. If you have a watermark paper, you want to show off something in the paper. Great idea. Yeah.
You can't really see it.
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, and I missed the taping part, so I'm hoping that you'll do that, because when I start focusing, I kind of lose
Right.
my focus.
I saw one other question I want to answer. How to enlarge. So if you want to enlarge the template, when you go to print, you should have a choice in your print section on your computer where it's actual size or fit to page or enlarge. And you have to play around with how large you can go because you're limited obviously by the size paper you can print out on. But what Beth showed, I think, was she enlarged the whole thing and then she was able to print half on one sheet and half on another and tape them together. You can also take things to your local copy shop. It is not very expensive to have them blow it up. You just have it on a thumb drive, or you can even email sometimes and they'll take the file and blow it up. You have to tell them how large you want it, so you need to figure that out. But yeah. All right. We did it again. We made another fun project. We're spreading light around the universe. Thank you everyone for coming. And I hope to see some of you in the paper year. Thanks to my current members for showing up today. And happy holidays.
I have two quick things.
Can you stop the recording?
Oh, yes.